When you first start your fitness journey and you make it your mission to get into shape, to look really good and to get more healthy than you ever have been, maybe you want to build some muscle, you want to lose a lot of weight, then there's conflicting advice online and you're gonna watch a lot of videos, you maybe go and read some Reddit or some forums and stuff, and then at some point you will hit a wall and you will have so much advice that is basically just contradicting each other that you don't know anymore what to eat. You will end up going to the supermarket, turning around the packages and be like, can I actually eat this now? Is this going to kill my progress? And I want to make it really simple and I want to give you some examples so that the next time you go to the supermarket, you know exactly what to look out for and what not to purchase anymore. And we're gonna start with the most obvious one ingredient foods like a simple potato basically, or maybe a banana. These ones are very clearly one ingredient foods. And if you are eating a banana, then that's pretty much good because it is just a banana. There's no additives here, no added sugar whatsoever. It is a natural thing that you can just find in nature if you're living in a country where they happen to grow. Same goes for the potato. No additives, no added sugar, no anything. It's just one ingredient. And then there's some other stuff which is not so obvious. We have, for example, oats, which is like cereals, oatmeal, breakfast stuff, right? And in the same shelf where they are selling the oats inside of the supermarket, you will have like 5, 6, 7 different packages of oats, and some of them are just 100% oats, and the other ones might be some cereals like those ones. They already look different, so maybe they are different. And if you are turning around the packages of those ones, I don't have the cardboard box in front of me anymore, but there was inside a lot of sugar, even salt, some other additives to make it hold longer and stuff. And when you are comparing the actual macronutrients of those two foods, then the one food that is the processed one is like 20% pure sugar. And then we have the oats where you have basically no sugar included. This is like 0.7 grams on 100 grams of sugar, right? They have a lot of carbs, but they are not necessarily the bad sugar that we don't want to eat. So the winner will obviously be the oats, the one ingredient food over all of the stuff that has more than one ingredient, aka all of this processed junk muesli foods here. The next example that I want to go over, which is pretty funny because I actually don't really like it myself, it's tuna cans. This is just tuna fish basically. And inside of this same shelf, they are selling this one and like 3 or 4 different versions of it. And this one is 77% tuna, water and salt. And the one that was next to it was like 60% tuna, 20% palm oil or sunflower oil or something like that, added sugar, added herbs, and then salt. So basically what they are selling to you is plant oil or seed oil, a little bit of fish, and it was even more expensive, funny enough. And then you have like a lot of added fats and this weird stuff inside that you don't want to eat. And then they had this one, which was a little bit cheaper, and it just comes with tuna and water and salt to make it hold a little bit longer. And obviously, if you're eating this, that is good for you. Like, I don't like fish, but fish by default is pretty healthy, they say. So if you like fish, then go for the tuna that is without added stuff. And don't take the one that is like with a pre-made sauce and all of these random additives that are inside. Another example when we are talking about the canned stuff, tomatoes in cans, a lot of people are using them and only a handful of people knows that in some of these canned tomatoes there's a lot of stuff that you are not supposed to eat. For example, in these ones that I got from Aldi, they have like tomato inside, tomato juice and a little bit of citrus acid to make it hold a little bit longer. And then right next to it, again, you have like 10 to 20 different variations of the same tomato cans, but all of them contain different things. And when you are not careful enough and you don't turn around your canned tomato and you just purchase a random one, then chances are you're grabbing the one that has added sugars, maybe some more additives that we don't want to eat like starches or any kind of random thing that we don't even know what it is when we are reading the label. Like some of the things when you're reading it, and you don't know what it is, don't even buy it because it is 100% some chemical stuff that is not good for us. Then we have another example here, which funny enough, it is just one ingredient. This is a package of rice, basmati rice in this case. I really love rice and I eat a lot of it. This is super good for you if you are eating it basically like this. And then again, right next to this one, you have this instant rice stuff, which is already pre-made rice that you can just put in the microwave or something like that. And then those ones, most of the time when you are reading the ingredient list, you roll your eyes so much because there's like 10 ingredients in the package of rice, which I don't know what they have to do in the rice anyways. Why the hell do they need to put sugar in rice, for example? It just doesn't add up to me. Everything is full of sugar these days. And talking about the sugar, another example of those packages, which some of the stuff is good and other stuff is really bad. We have pasta, okay? And then we have another package of pasta. One of them is 100% wheat, one ingredient food. Technically, like pasta in this form is still not good for you, not gonna lie. But then we have the other pasta, and when you turn around the label or you read the label, there's like 40 ingredients inside of here. I'm not even kidding, guys. When you turn around these packages, all of this that you see here, the entire box is ingredients for the pasta. So there's again the obvious winner, the normal pasta. Even though it is not good, it's still better. So you always need to kind of keep in mind, one ingredient food does not exactly mean healthy food, but also one ingredient food could be a 40 ingredient food if you are purchasing the wrong package. So even though this one is better, both of them are not the optimal choices. We have another example of those ones that I most of the time add to my oats. Like some people would now, for example, go for cereals and purchase the processed ones, and then they're gonna add cocoa powder on top, okay, this one for example. And you have like a super nice muesli cereal breakfast and it's extremely tasty, but this is a processed food. And this one is also a processed food because it's not 100% cocoa powder. The first ingredient of this cocoa powder is sugar. It's so stupid. You have here sugar, cocoa powder as a second ingredient, some weird lecithin, and then salt, cinnamon, and that's it basically. And then compared to this one, you have the actual cocoa powder, which they disguise as baking cacao or baking cocoa powder. So basically here you have a cocoa powder which they don't intend you to use for baking or anything, and they just sell it to you like that so that you can make like a cocoa drink out of this. But this is like 80% sugar compared to 100% cocoa powder. So this one might cost a little bit more, but it's definitely the better choice. And if you are comparing both of the ingredients here, they have very similar calories. This one, the 100% cocoa powder, is 360 calories and the other one is 380 calories. But this one, as I said, is 81 grams of sugar, so it's 80% of sugar and carbs, okay? Meanwhile, the other one, the real cocoa powder, has only 8.9 grams of carbs, and out of those, it's 0.6 grams of sugar. So you can already see the difference here. Almost entire package full of white sugar, industrial sugar, which is very bad for you, which just makes you really sick by default. You're gonna end up getting diabetes and stuff if you're eating way too much of this one. And this, meanwhile, has basically zero sugar because it's naturally just not coming with sugar. And then when you are adding this into your oatmeal, like let's say you are having a one ingredient oatmeal, this one, okay, just 100% oats, not the processed junk food that they are selling to you, not all of this pre-made mueslis and all of that crap. And then you are using this shit, okay? You are now ruining your good oats with this junk because again, you have one good food and you have another processed food. So at that point, I hope it makes sense here. It is way better to just use the cocoa powder 100%, one ingredient food, and mix it with another one ingredient food. And now you have an insanely tasty meal. It's still tasting like cocoa powder, but you don't have all of this added sugar and stuff. And if you then wanted to make it a little bit sweeter, just combine those two one ingredient foods with another one ingredient food. For example, you can just add honey into it, okay? So basically now you are just not taking the stuff that's full of the industrial sugar and you're just adding honey to make it sweet. There you have it. You have a 3-ingredient food basically. You have your oatmeal, but with 100% good ingredients, and then you are perfectly fine. If you're eating like this and you're trying to exchange things always for the better choice, like white sugar and industrial sugar, maybe for honey, or maybe for some maple syrup if you have access to a really good one. Then you're just exchanging your cereals for the good oats. And then you're doing that with all of the foods, and you always turn them around and you read the actual labels, and you're avoiding anything with added sugars, cornstarches, seed oils, and all of that crap. And then when you are avoiding all of these additives, you are by default just being less hungry, because the added sugar is going to spike your insulin, your blood sugar, and then you are just going to have a hunger crash and you're just binging because of the added sugar. So if you're avoiding that to begin with in the supermarket, like you don't even purchase it, you don't have it at home, and you're instead using one ingredient foods, you by default are going to end up less hungry. Another not so obvious example, unfortunately, is ground meat. Depending on the country you're living in, lately what they are trying to do is sell you one ingredient foods like ground meat, and then you turn around the package and it turns out it's not one ingredient anymore. It's basically now mixed with cornstarch and a lot of crap that's inside of there. And I was a little bit shocked last time that I turned around one of those packages and it was like 80% meat and 20% some random stuff inside of the package that was not meat. And in the front label they said like bio, pure meat, this, that, blah, blah, whatever the marketing was. And I was like, bro, this is not even 100% meat at this point. You added like some random stuff into this and you expect me to buy that? It can definitely not be healthy what they are adding to it. Also, like, I highly doubt that the cornstarch or whatever they put inside, that it's even worth the same money. So basically, they try to lower the amount of meat inside of the package just to push down the production cost for them. And then you're purchasing it in good faith and you think it's 100% meat and you spend the same amount of money. You're just purchasing cornstarch that they quite literally could throw into the trash because it's worth nothing. It even makes you sick and stuff. So that's something really shocking. And in this case, obviously, it's always best turn around the packages no matter what you are buying. Make it a habit. If you take away just one thing from this entire video, make it this. Whatever you are purchasing may or may not be one ingredient, even if it claims to be. Take the packages, turn them around, make sure that you know what you put in your mouth. It is very important. And the leaner you get, the more of those informed choices you will need to make, because any kind of mess up with like sugary stuff that you don't even know that you're eating it, it can just sabotage your hunger feelings, and then you may end up having like a weird hunger attack and you're just binging and stuff. And that is pretty much avoidable by just reading the labels. And I don't know why a lot of people just don't tell you to read labels and just be like, yeah, purchase one ingredient foods. But what exactly is a one ingredient food, right? So you can mix a lot of one ingredient foods together. You can make like a potato soup and make it sweet with banana. It's still one ingredient. I don't recommend that because the combination is really weird. But just to make a point here, then you add honey on top of all of that. It's still a one ingredient meal basically, even though you are adding a lot of one ingredient foods together. And it is always going to win over purchasing something that's already pre-made in the supermarket, which is basically just a cocktail made out of poison. Just be careful what you're purchasing. And this is just the surface of all of the things that you could potentially keep in mind when you are on your way to get into the best shape of your life. And if you don't want to do this alone anymore because all of this stuff is way too complicated, check out the link in the description below. I've created a private community for everyone who is on the same path. We're talking about getting into shape and we're pushing each other, motivating each other. We're having challenges and stuff. It's a lot of fun. We're also having a recipe vault that is growing with us. So if that sounds something that might be interesting to you, the link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching and I see you in the next video.